What's up guys, Top Tier Yu-Gi-Oh here, and this weekend was ARG Richmond, and so I want to give you guys a deck profile and tournament report of how ARG Richmond went for me. And I have to say, this was probably the most interesting event I've been in a long time. It was pretty wild, and I think I did pretty well for the circumstances, and you're going to hear all about the circumstances, of course. And so the crazy thing about this event was that, as you can see, I played true Draco Zoodiacs, but this deck was not complete when I started round 1, and I had to ultimately pick up cards throughout the event to get to this point. And so it was sort of like a train chugging uphill in order to get to the final destination. It was tough, but I did make it, and I had a pretty good tournament, to be honest. So let's go ahead and get into the profile. I'm going to show you guys what I played. This isn't like my ideal build, but it's what I played, and I did do well with it. So we are going to start with the monsters. Yeah, you can even see I still have the thing. But 3 Masterpiece to start everything off. Masterpiece is just so good right now. It's easily the best single monster of the format. And just having this in your deck just helps you win more games. I mean, it's just insane. It's really hard to play around, but there are outs to it, of course. But if your opponent doesn't have them, then they'll just lose. Then next we have 3 Terratops, 1 Takedown Borg. I drew Takedown Borg a lot, and people always say that they draw Takedown Borg, and it's really weird, but I feel like even though everyone only plays 1, like the power of Terratop, just for some reason the Yu-Gi gods tend to quote-unquote bless you with Takedown Borg. And I drew this in, I want to say, 4 of the 8 rounds. And I mean, oftentimes I drew Terratop as well, so it wasn't that bad, but it still kind of sucks. And then for the Zoodiac monsters, 2 Rats, 1 Thoroughblade, 1 Whiptail, 1 Ram. So the same ratio from the last True Draco deck profile, but I do still like this ratio because your Zoo monsters are good, but they're not amazing. Like, they don't do that much on their own outside of just Trident. And I felt that going second, I'd rather have like a hand trap, or going first, I'd rather have a starter card. So even though they're good, I felt like I didn't necessarily need more. However, there were certain games where I wished I had a second copy of Ram, just so I could, draw it more often, so I could destroy it with Barrage or of a Diagram. And I also wish I had a second Whiptail, just so I could boost the attack of my monsters to attack over opposing masterpieces. But otherwise, this was fine, and I think it's more of like a personal preference, and really like the ideal numbers between 1 and 2. And so I guess sometimes you just waver between 1 and 2 for both of these, but definitely only 1 Thoroughblade. And then for the hand traps, I did not have Ghost Ash actually, so 3 Retaliating Seas, 2 Ghost Ogres, and 1 Max C. And so, like I said, like I did not have the entire deck like at the start of the event. Luckily, I was able to finish a main deck. This isn't what I wanted to play ideally, but this was something that I sort of tossed together with what I was able to pick up. And these are hand traps I played. And now, as you saw, I do have Droll and Lock birds. I did have the option to play Droll and Lock, but I ultimately chose the main deck, the Retaliating Seas, because Retaliating Sea does stop the Lunalight play, which you do want to stop. That's the most important thing. Droll stops it as well. But this stops the Lunalight play, but at the same time, it puts a monster on your side of the field that you can tribute with Masterpiece, which is really relevant, because a lot of times you don't want to just tribute like a Dryden or something. You want to tribute something you don't necessarily need. And so this was perfect to tribute for Masterpiece, and then when you tribute it, it's going to let you search Max C. Or even just summoning it, like, you stop the Lunalight play and then destroying it with a Diagram, search Max C. In theory, that was what was going to happen. In actuality, it was, I think I maybe resolved this once max, and it was definitely dead more than it was live, because I kept drawing it games 2 and 3. But after game 1, people just start playing around it. And I mean, so it's good in theory, but in practice, it wasn't as good. Ghost Ogre was mediocre. Like, Ghost Ogre is decent in this format. It's not very good. It's better than Ash. It does something, but at the same time, it doesn't do enough. And so it's like you always need Ghost Ogre with something else, and that was when Ghost Ogre was good. But whenever I just had Ghost Ogre, it wasn't good at all. I saw Max C maybe 3 times today, and I won one of those games. The other game, other 2 games, he also had Max C. And so, what are the odds, right? But Max C was, as expected, it is a very good card. And then the final monster I play is 1 Lunalight Black Sheep. So let's move on to the spells and traps. And so 3 Barrage. I was very lucky to get these before the event started, because I only had 1 to start off with. So I was really lucky to get these last minute. Like, I walked in the building at like 10 on the dot, and the registration closes at 10. And so I was very lucky. but I was very scared as well. So 3 barrage, obviously very good, standard. 3 diagram, same situation where I got these last minute. And I actually, see, last night I was only playing 1, or not by choice, I only had 1. And even though it was borrowed, I had 1 borrowed diagram. And I was actually playing Balbaboon in the main. But like on DN and YGO Pro, when I thought I was going to be able to play 3. But when I could only get 1, I took the Balbaboons out and had to change the whole build. I like put in masterpieces and extra masterpieces instead. It's a completely different deck than how I envisioned playing this deck. But again, it worked, and so that's why I want to share with you guys. Hear your guys' opinion on it. So if you want to see the ideal deck, let me know in the comment section, or I might put a poll in the screen somewhere, maybe. I think it should go up here somewhere. But I will put a poll somewhere because it's just so different. It's like 2 completely different styles of how to play this build. But I was able to get 3. But again, because I thought I would only play 1, I built around only having 1. Oh, but it was very good though. Great card, of course. Triple Terraforming. Triple Tinky. Double Cosmic Cyclone. Cosmic Cyclone I'm very mixed on. And so, I mean, I guess the whole debate is you need Spell and Trap removal, and the choices are really Twin Twisters and Cosmic Cyclone. Cosmic Cyclone was very good against True Dracos, and it is very good against True Dracos. Stopping the True Draco Speller Traps is huge. Also being able to banish barrages and fusion substitutes is huge. But at the same time, when you're going against Pure Zoo and they have a bunch of traps, you need to handle more than one back row a lot of times. And I really wanted Twin Twister in a lot of different matchups, but Cosmic Cyclone wasn't bad. It was just I wanted more. And now I do think the life point cost was relevant in maybe 1 game, but then at the same time there was a play where Twin Twisters wouldn't have done the job. So like, or multiple plays actually, now that I think back at it. Like there was a game against True Dracos where I knew he had a Dynamite on the board, of course. I knew he had Masterpiece in hand, and I was able to play freely knowing he was going to use Dynamite to search a trap, then activate the trap to try to tribute summon the Masterpiece. I was able to freely play around his board because I knew that I had the Cosmic Cyclone to out that. Versus if it were a Twin Twisters, I would have had to worry about what his return would have destroyed on my side of the field. And then there was another round against True Draco Zoo where the same thing happened, where he had a return and something else, and I knew he was going to try to summon on my turn, so I held it. And then right when he tries to tribute summon, you chain to the tribute summon effect. It's going to banish it, no graveyard effect, no tribute summon. So Cyclone is really good in those situations. There's another game where I got Fusion Substituted. I didn't really have a follow-up play or a hand trap, and all I could really do to prevent him from drawing a card was to Cosmic Cyclone the Fusion Substitute when he played it. And it seems like a bad play at first, but you really just kind of go 1 for 1 to where they're going to draw 1 extra card and then get their Northern back for their instant fusions versus you just losing the Cosmic Cyclone. And so I thought that was kind of worth it, but at the same time, Twin Twisters would have been great when I played against Demise. It would have been great when I played against Pure, and Twin Twisters also has its merits. So it's a really tough decision. I think it depends on the meta, to where if there are a lot of Draco Zoo, then Cosmic Cyclone's better, or just Draco decks in general. But if there's a lot of Pure Zoo, Twin Twisters is probably better. 1 Raigeki, this was really good. I actually wasn't going to play this at first, but it was very, very good. And it was probably the single spell card that put in the most work for me today. So Raigeki was awesome. 1 True Draco Heritage. This was really good. I mean, mostly I just used it to destroy stuff on the field. Like I would play this and then a Trident. That way I could pop face down back row by using Trident to pop this. But also, I think I used the Tribute Summon effect once. And I did not use the draw effect at all, but there was an opportunity when I could have used it when playing against Pure True Draco, but I just forgot about it, to be honest. Because it comes up so rarely, I forgot, and it didn't make a difference. I won the game anyways. And the final spell card is 1 Fusion Substitute. And I didn't play multiple Fusion Substitutes. Well, I also think 1 is correct in True Draco Zoo, but I also only had 1 Daigusta Emerald at the start of the tournament. And so, there is no point playing multiple Fusion Substitutes with no emeralds. I also didn't have any Shakanines or Leikas, no Hammer Kong. Like it was bad. I almost didn't play Fusion Substitute at all. And like my first couple rounds, I still didn't have the cards to do the combo, but I played it anyways just in case I could pick it up throughout the event, and that's what happened. And then for the traps, I played 2 Barrier, 1 Imperial Order, and then 1 True King Return. Barriers were okay. And I felt like a lot of times they did save me a turn, but it was never enough. It was like I had to always and constantly choose between using it on my opponent's turn to keep them from killing me, or saving it for my own turn to where I would get free plays, but if they had a hand trap, then, you know, I would still lose. And so it sort of made my bad hands a little bit better, Made my good hands great though. I mean, I guess in that sense it was never really bad, but there were just some games where it wasn't, again, not bad, but just sort of lackluster. Like I wished it was like a torrential tribute or something, or I wished that it was something different. Imperial Order was good. It did win me a game against Zoo, and then Return was obviously very good. So now let's move on to the side deck, and you're gonna notice that the side deck is only 10 cards. I don't know. I had like a whole different side deck written out, and I just could not get the cards in time. And I'm not even too sure what I wrote on the list, to be honest. Like I know I wrote more than 10 cards on there just in case I picked them up, but there's only 10 cards now. And so we have 3 Droll and Lockbirds, 2 Flying Seas. Again, we have no Ashes. So, you know, these are the hand traps I was thinking about playing instead. Droll was good. Of course, Droll is like the hot card of the format. Droll was very good in a lot of my matchups, to be honest. Flying Sea was not good. I'm trying to think of when I actually drew it. I drew it the final round against Water Zoodiacs, like Water Mermail Zoo. But because I probably shouldn't have sided it against that deck, and I knew I shouldn't have because I knew he played Synchros. This was game 3, and I was thinking if he draws a hand of all Zoodiac monsters, great. Or if he tries to do like a Northern play, great. So at least I have something to stop him, because I just wanted to see hand traps in general. But at the same time, he was able to use this to his advantage, and he did open a very Zoodiac heavy hand. He opened like Speedroid, Terratop, Take-Down Board, Rat Pier, and then some other Zoo stuff. And I gave him the Flying Sea. He normal summoned the Ghost Ogre, and then synchroed for a Coral Dragon, and then used Coral Dragon's effect, discarding a Dragoons, and I got the Dragoon Surge, popped the card on my side of the field, and he really just went off from there. And I think that was the only time I drew Flying Sea. There's another game I drew it as like my 6th card, and the guy like Luna like comboed me, and I was so salty that this was my 6th card. So Flying Sea, I mean, in theory it's good against Pier Zoo, but I'm not a huge fan of Flying Sea. I mean, but it was nice having another Retaliating Sea search target. Or, wait, I never summoned Retaliating Sea, so Flying Sea was just, you know, not that good. I wish I had more side deck cards, because it would have been better, but, you know, only 10. And so the other 5 cards were 2 anti-spells. These were pretty good. I drew them one game, and it won me the game. Or, it probably didn't win me the game, but it in combination with, like, Dryden and other things won me the game. But it was good. Necro Valley, I sided this against a Burning Abyss player. That was good. The theory, or there wasn't much theory about this because I just like grabbed what I had, but the theory and why I chose this over like some other stuff that I just had laying around was that I do play 3 terraforming, so it is searchable. And then against Zoodiacs, you're going to be able to stop the Lunalight combo unless they summon their Trident preemptively to destroy this. And if they're summoning their Trident before Lunalight comboing, they're probably not going to be able to do the full play and then still end with a Trident. And if so, how much material will be under that Trident? Because you're not going to be able to use Leica, you're not going to be able to use Tiger Mortar, and so it really hurts your opponent's Zoodiac plays. And then, let's see, against other decks it's also good. Like against Pure True Dracos, you're able to stop Disciples, you're stopping Return from using the effect to special summon from the graveyard, so you're stopping a few different things. Actually, never mind, don't side it against that deck, but Necro Valley is good against Pure Zoodiacs, pretty much. I think that's it. But I also played against a Burning Abyss deck, and it was good against that deck because you couldn't use Dante or Seer. And then the final 2 cards are 2 Forbidden Chalices. These are not good. And in theory, like the whole idea was to do the whole diagram trick where you use diagram, you chain a quick play spell card, destroy the quick play spell, and still get the effect. But that didn't come up for me at all. And the only game I actually drew it was against Pure Zoodiacs, and he had Hammer Kong Trident and a bunch of back row, and the only way for me to out his board was to negate the Hammer Kong. Oh, I opened 2 Chalice, but the only way to out his board was to negate the Hammer Kong, negate the Trident, and then make a play. But then I also had like all hand traps. It was like a really lackluster hand. It was 2 Chalice, Flying Sea, Ghost Ogre, and Rat. No, it was a Tinky, but I guess same thing. And so it was like I would have had to have negated everything, and these were dead. Like these didn't do anything. And then the Rat play, if he had a hand trap, I would have just lost. But he also had back row, and the back was a barrier. So you know, that's I guess why I lost. But the side deck was very lackluster, to be honest. The only real good cards in the side were Droll. Everything else, you know, meh. I guess Anti-Spell was decent, but these 5 are bad. And the other cards I think I wrote on the deck list that I would have sided were 1 Tornado Dragon, 2 Unending Nightmares, and 2 Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries. Yeah, I thought one of my friends had Ghost Reaper Winter Cherries to let me use, and he didn't actually. And I was actually gonna main deck those, but because I couldn't main deck them, I put them on the side deck for maybe something I would pick up later. But I couldn't pick them up in time. I just kind of gave up on them. But it would have been great to have later in the rounds when I was going against Pure Zoo and True Draco Zoo and really all my matchups. And I just needed more hand traps. Because Droll is good, but I really don't like Flying Sea. I didn't want to side Flying Sea in, but I was like, well, I guess I need something to side in. And so I just sided in anyways, but it wasn't as good. And then for the extra deck. So this is 15 cards now, but I didn't start with 15. So I'm gonna show you what I started with first. So I started with Norden, Invoker, Borbo, 2 Tiger Mortar, 2 Broad Bull, and 2 Trident. Oh, and 1 Emerald. So this is all I had round 1. And this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I guess this is 11 cards. It's not as bad as I thought, but it felt really awful. Wait, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cards. Sorry, 10 cards. But it felt like it was a lot worse because round 1 I played against True King Dinosaurs, and so it was so frustrating because I had Terra Top. I do the whole play, so I'm using Invoker, Borbo, I use Tiger, Broad Bull, Trident. Oh, and the Norden. And I think I forgot what I shuffled back. It doesn't matter what I shuffled back. But then I also summoned the Emerald. And so then at that point, there was like 3 monsters in my extra deck. And then, or did he Droll and Lockbird me? I think he Droll and Lockbird me or Ashed me or something. Something happened. But I had 3 monsters left in my extra deck. And then he Raigekis me and then summons a Lithosagem, pops 2 babies, and banishes the last 3 cards of my extra deck. So I had no cards in my extra deck round 1 against Dinosaurs. And that happened games 2 and 3. Game 1, he had no response or anything. I just like drew 5 cards, summoned 2 masterpieces. It was crazy. But games 2 and 3, I ran out of cards in my extra deck in both games. And that was very frustrating. And there was one game where he cast out the Trident back to my extra deck. And I was able to summon it again later. But still, just playing with just 1 Trident and nothing else is a little lackluster. And so that was a tough round 1 that I ultimately lost. But later throughout the event, I was able to pick up more cards. Like round 3, I was able to get a Hammer Kong. This was nice, and I summoned Hammer Kong, like actually summoning it the normal way, using the effect. I did that like twice. There was a couple times I brought it back with Leica, then used Tiger Mortar to attach it, and then had the effect that way. So Hammer Kong was actually really good, because a lot of times in the mirror match, people are just going to try to trade Tridents with you, or bait your Trident with their Trident, and then they're going to have a follow-up play. So like, I don't know, summon Thoroughblade, Trident, force your Trident, because you're going to have to just trade Trident so they pop your Trident. And then they have like a barrage or something, and then they just ODK you. But if you have a Hammer Kong, they can't target it with anything else. And it also keeps you from Masterpiece and, I mean, anything that targets. It's just a very good effect. And then, oh, round 2, I got a Dweller. Or I had Dweller before the event started, but I was late. So I forgot to put it in my actual, like, in the sleeves in the extra deck. So I didn't actually play with it. And it would have come up in the round 1 actually, but I had it, I just didn't have it in the deck box. And then, let's see. I got these, I think round 4. Like, before round 4, I got the 2 Shaka 9s. Like, I bought one from a vendor and a friend had the other one. Shoutouts to CJ. Because, this was really good, of course. Shaka 9 is probably the best Zoodiac Xyz monster, aside from Trident. Because Trident's, of course, like, your main defensive threat. But with this deck, because I have such a small Zoodiac engine, Broad Bull is really dead a lot of times, especially late game, because I'll use a Terra Top that's going to take 2 rats out of the deck. I might search a Whiptail, leaving only Thoroughblade in deck, like I would normal summon the rat or something, which would dump the Ram. So a lot of times I wouldn't have enough monsters in deck to summon another Zoodiac monster from my deck, like with Invoker Barrage, and then also have another one to search. It was very rare that the second Broad Bull came up. But it was much easier for me to go into the second Tiger Mortar because once I did my initial play, I had many more Zoodiac monsters in the graveyard than still in my deck. So second Tiger Mortar was very good. Second Broad Bull was not. Trident was obviously gone into a lot of times. And then the final card that I got was the second Daigusto Emerald. I got this before round 6. And it came up like every single match. Every single match it came up, especially with the fusion substitute play. I really needed a second emerald for the first 6 rounds of the tournament, or the first 5 rounds of the tournament, whatever. But when I finally got it, I felt so free, so happy being able to actually make the correct plays. And so this was good because there were a couple games in the last 2 rounds where I was able to normal summon send Ram, and then like use the diagram to destroy it, or barrage to destroy the Ram after bringing it back with Leica, of course. And then you're able to make Emerald, Trident, and then fusion sub again for a second Emerald, shuffle back the first one. And then like I drew into like a barrage or something, barrage into a Thoroughblade, drew another card. Like there was one hand I drew 5 cards, and that was really good for only having 1 fusion substitute. And so the second Emerald was very, very good. Alright, so again guys, this is what I played for ARG Richmond, and deck list is right here on the screen. I ended up going X3, losing round 8 on the bubble, and the person I lost to was the one playing Water Zoodiacs. And so he topped 16, so I'm pretty sure if I had won that round I would have topped as well. And so that's unfortunate to lose in the bubble like that, but again, I think I had a very good tournament for what I had going into it. And I think I played very well. And I think I played pretty well outside of maybe 1 or 2 misplays. And so I also played this exact same list in the 1K on Sunday, and then I did actually manage to top 16 the 1K. And so I guess this is sort of a deck profile for that as well. And so the list worked out fine. I think I played very well, and I'm very happy with my results from this weekend. Hopefully next year I'll be able to not lose on the bubble again, because I've lost in the bubble of ARG Richmond a couple of times. And so hopefully next time I'll be able to finally break through and you know, actually make it there. And so thanks for watching guys, and I will see you in the next video. Remember that time